Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Red Hour, a show I do twice a week where I throw a little chaos into Star Trek by reviewing a random episode. And where we left off last week was TNG, Season 6, Episode 13, Aquiel. Now, I had seen this episode quite a few times throughout the years, recognized the title, but did not remember the plot because it's an okay one, but it's not one of those super memorable episodes. But I do remember seeing it throughout the years. So the episode starts off with there's a space station, a relay station, a subspace relay station nearby, near the Klingon border, and the Enterprise was supposed to send. I believe they were supposed to send supplies there, and had hailed the station, but there's no response. So they beam on board, and they're investigating a the situation. And Geordi's there, Riker's there, Worf is there, and Crusher's there. So they're investigating the situation and hear like this knocking sound, which sounds like it's coming from one of the bulkheads or something. So Geordi investigates it, and it turns out there's a dog. And the dog is like hiding in this, underneath this, like, I don't know, like cabinet type thing. And so he lets the dog out, and then Crusher finds this residue on one of the bulk plates. And there are two people that reside at this relay station. Aquiel, the title of the, I forget her last name, and then there's Lieutenant Rocha, who is the senior officer. So she's a junior officer, like I guess a junior lieutenant, but they are both missing, and there's a shuttlecraft that's missing, and they find this residue that has Lieutenant Roach's DNA on it, and Riker asks what it would take um, to kill somebody this way, and she replies that it would take intense phaser fire. So DJ Play Nice is here. Hello, DJ Play Nice. So the residue is remaining on this bulk plate, and that's our teaser. It lasts about 3 to 5 minutes, and I want to say that I was going to do the Starfleet Academy season 1 review. I think it was on. I was supposed to do it Friday, but I didn't get home in time to do it, and I was exhausted from working. Uh, I don't think I'm gonna review this series. I just don't think it's worth it. I know people like Nerdrotic or Disparu, Critical Jinker. It's kind of their job to do it. I don't get paid for this, and I don't like. There's not much. It's not much good things I'm gonna have to say about it. The episode 1 was ridiculously horrible. I I gave it a 4.5 out of 10. Just cringeworthy lines. Uh, uh, Statements we've if you've seen the reviews, everybody's saying how the ship is getting attacked but from the rear, and she says all shields to forward, forward shield, all power to forward shields. Uh, I mean, she says sensors. I don't know what she said, and I rewound it 3 times. Don't know what she said. Uh, I guess I'd have to put closed caption on it. It's just sensors. Uh, there's a girl who thinks she swallowed her com badge. Uh, these are the best and brightest people they have in Starfleet. Uh, they the mom of this guy gets arrested for stealing when they have programmable matter and replicators. Uh, I mean, I have pages of reviews for Starfleet Academy, but I'm not even going to bother with it. It just sucks, and I don't want to say much more anyway. Back to the review of a good episode of Star Trek, of actual Star Trek. DJ Play Night says up, thumbs up, and hit the like. Yes, if you're out there, please do that, or if you catch this later. So, back on the station, the Worf is oh, there's another thing. Sorry. The helmsman says that the helm is not working, is not responding, and then 3 seconds later she says evasive maneuvers. Captain, he literally just said the helm's not responding. Okay. Anyway, so Worf is cutting out this little bulk deck plate and to take back to the Enterprise so that Crusher can examine it. And Geordi is locked out of the station logs. At least there's 2 different consoles, so he's locked out. He tells Riker that there's like some missing information that's been taken, and then he's been locked out. And so he goes to the other console, which is Aquiel's quarters. And the dog is sitting there on the bed, and the dog is barking and wants a bone that Aquiel had. So back on the ship, Crusher says, well, Riker and Picard are there, and they ask what would do this, and she says it would be a high level phaser blast, but she's only speculating. She doesn't know exactly. And then back on the station, Geordi asked the computer to run diagnostics while he's trying to get a visual on her, what she looks like. And they're trying to get logs. And basically, they're trying to get correspondence logs. It's the only, I guess, the only thing that would kind of tell them what had transpired on the station. And it turns out the dog barks, and as he's replicating some coffee, and he turns around, and we finally see what she looks like. She's a young, pretty black chick, but she's also an alien black chick. So it has little things on her forehead. And she talks about how that there was a Klingon that had been patrolling that patrols the area because it's near the Klingon border and has been threatening them. So that's kind of a clue that maybe that he killed them or something. So there's a bit of a mystery going on, and the Klingon's name is Morag, and so Picard says that he'll talk to the Klingon governor of this area and try to get some information from him. So he's talking to the Klingon governor. At first, he doesn't want to uh, cooperate because it seems to him that Picard is like accusing him of something, of covering something up, or accusing Morag of murdering. And Picard plays a little trick on him and says that it's okay, he'll just talk to Gowron. And the Klingon guy says that Gowron wouldn't be bothered with such minute matters. And he goes on to explain that he is partially responsible for putting Gowron into power as the Chancellor, and this sort of gets the Klingon governor to agree to the to investigate because he doesn't want Gowron coming down on his ass. And during that conversation, we find out that is a relay station, and the relay station is number 47. So then, as Jory's watching this, she's communicating to her sister about things that's been going on the station, and then we hear a noise outside of her door, and then the screen goes fuzzy. So something happened. She asks if it's Lieutenant Rocha, and the screen goes fuzzy. And she's talking about how Rocha is like an asshole since he's been on board, and they've been butting heads ever since he came on board. So on the station, Worf finds DNA from one Klingon. So they have to investigate that. They haven't found any other Klingon DNA, just from one Klingon. And so then the Klingon ship arrives, and Picard calls Riker to the observation lounge. So, or the whole party back to the observation lounge. And then, so the Klingons show up with Morag, Captain Morag, and the governor shows up, and he says that they had nothing to do with her disappearance, and he can prove it to them. And one of the Klingon guys brings her in, so she's alive, but she's injured, has scratches on her face and bruises and stuff. So she tells her side of the story, saying that Lieutenant Rocha attacked her and had put like a chokehold on her, but she got away and took the shuttle, and eventually ended up on the Klingon side of the border, and that's when the Klingons found her, and she had been gone for like 46 hours, I think they say. And they ask her why she took the shuttle, or if they ask her about a phaser that's missing, and she says she can't remember about the phaser. She says she can't remember much of anything after the attack. So so clearly something has gone wrong, and the Picard looks to the governor, and the governor agrees that he would speak with Commander Morag. So Jordy returns the dog. Jordy has the dog in his quarters and returns the dog back to Aquiel, and then he says that he's going to leave. That she's been through a lot, and he'll let her be. And she says, "No, I've been on that station by myself for a long time. I could use some company." So they go. He says, "I know the right place," and they go to tinfoil forward, and they're conversating and talking, small talk, and he responds to her in her language, and he says that she's surprised by this, and says that he traveled around. His family traveled around a lot when he was younger because his mom, Starfleet captain, and she says that she never traveled. That her family pretty much stayed put uh, for a long time. And then she mentions some kind of cabin or something, and or he lets it slip that he basically had been reading her communications, and she asks him about all of them, and he says pretty much. And she gets upset of this because she tells her sister things that she wouldn't tell anybody else. She tells a story about how she defied Lieutenant Roach's orders because she found a more efficient way to relay things. Uh, which so she's not exactly the most upstanding. She's more like what's her name from Lower Decks. Uh, she's more like her, like a little bit of a brat or whatever. So Riker's talking to Picard and shows. He says that he had looked over Roach's file, which was spotless, and then says that her file was she was a bit of a rogue element, and that he had talked to her previous commander, and he his her previous commander had sent her to that station because of her rogue elements and her behavior. I forget how he categorized it, but I wrote down Aquiel file bad because I didn't catch exactly what he said. Uh, so she's talking to Jory, and she says, "You've you know me, or you've seen my files and my communications more than anybody else on this ship. Do you think that I'm a murderer?" And he says no. So Jordy wants to try to access Lieutenant Roach's files again, and as he's walking away, Riker kind of pulls him to the side and says, "I'm telling you as a friend, not your commanding officer, that you're a little too close to this, and that you're letting your personal feelings cloud your judgment." And he said something to him like, basically, "Fuck off." So then Morag shows up, and uh, he says that he patrols this area every 6 days, and says that about 3 days ago he tried to contact them, and there was he couldn't get a response, so he went on board the station to see what had happened, and that nobody was there. So he left. Then they ask him about these missing messages, to which he admits that he took them. Well, first he lies, says he didn't, and then they said that they found DNA on one of the message the comms console. To which he says, "Okay, yeah, I took the messages," and asked the governor for Morag to remain on board until the investigation is over. When Morag kind of flips out at one point, and he's like, I'm not having any of this accusations," and the governor reminds him that this is like a diplomatic situation. And then because again, we don't want Gowron involved, old crazy eyes. uh, so he agrees to keep Morag on board. So then on the station, uh, Jordy had found like more missing messages or missing data or something, and asked her about it, or says that it came from her quarters on board the Enterprise, and she confesses that she erased a letter that Lieutenant Rocha was going to send, talking about her insubordination and the way she acts and stuff like that, and was going to ask for a formal hearing. To which Jordy gets mad because he believed in her and says that it looks bad, and what we would say today is make it make sense. And she explains that she's sometimes, and because it looks like motive for murder, she explains that sometimes she's impulsive and sort of acts irrational sometimes. Well, she's a woman, first of all. No offense, Michelle Fairy Tales. And what else? So they basically fall in love with each other and kiss and hug. And he says that he does believe her, but he wants to kind of help her explain herself. So back on the Enterprise, the DNA is being it's destabilizing, and Crusher is attempting to reform it, and she asks Nurse Ogawa to do some kind of something, and the DNA like on the sample like rises up and grabs Crusher's hand and forms her hand, so it replicates her hand. Now we see this on Voyager later on, where a similar thing happens with this metallic substance that recreates Harry and Tom, and I think the episode is called Demon. Chakotay explains a demon planet is like Starfleet's nickname for these hellish planets that nobody wants to go to, and it does a similar thing where it replicates, matter, and but they can't leave that planet, and they end up replicating like the whole entire crew of Voyager, and then there's a part 2 to that episode where Voyager's trying that crew of Voyager, that replicated crew of Voyager, is trying to reach the real Voyager, I think, but they don't make it in time, and then it ends tragically. But the only reason I know that is because A, I think I did a review of Demon on this channel, and B, I've seen those 2 episodes a bazillion times. So then Aquiel Can't read my own handwriting. We go through this every time. Oh, Aquiel is partially telepathic, and she's talking to Jordy about because apparently they had did the deed the night before. He they want to use like she wants to use this device that forms like a stronger emotional bond, especially during sex or during like she says during love, but we know what that means. And so they're kind of using this device, and then back on the Enterprise, she's explaining to Picard what just happened. She calls it a coalescent life form, which absorbs other. Uh, it's a life form that absorbs other organisms to survive, and they basically have to recreate the other organisms, but in the same process they kill the organism that they absorb, and they basically so it's a microorganism, but she speculates that this organism is bigger, and so under normal circumstances the microorganism will only live like 12 seconds or something, but in this circumstance, because it's bigger, it lasts like 10 days before it has to absorb somebody else. So they kind of deduce that either that's what happened to Lieutenant Rocha, and that the new organism would either be Morag, or Aquiel. So we find, um, so Riker comes to her quarters where he tells Jory to step aside, and she's like, "What's this all about?" And they keep Aquiel and Morag are being held like in a separate room, and then they leave, and Geordi's remains. And of course, every time Geordi's involved with a woman, it's always something goes wrong. So the dog is behind him and starts to tug at his shoes and stuff. He tells the dog to go away, and then the dog shape shifts into like this big blob and attacks Geordi. So it turns out the dog was the thing all along. The thing. So later on, Aquiel is talking to Geordi and Tin Forward, and they're basically saying that because it attempted to absorb her, it instead took the dog's form, and that's why she took the phaser and got into the shuttle, and that's why her memories were kind of wiped out, because it almost got her but didn't. And then they talk about how she's going to be reassigned, and he says that he can help her out, and he knows some people, he knows a guy. She says no, she would, considering her record, she would want to get there on her own. And then that's the end of the episode, and which I gave a 6.5 out of 7. It's not bad, but considering TNG as a whole, especially seasons 3 through 6, it's more of a mid range. So, couple questions. When TNG first aired, and then you get into the movie, you get All Good Things, and he's married to Leah Brahms, right? And then you get to Picard season 3, and he's married to her. Uh, Retrospectively, looking back, wouldn't it be interesting if they kept this actress around? Because technically they were still like nothing. They weren't broken up, and she wasn't the murderer, and nothing bad happened to her. So why not like have them stay in contact, and that's like his girlfriend going forward, and maybe she comes back in season 7, or maybe she comes back in the movies, or in Picard, you know. So retrospectively, it's like why not keep that character around? And then, of course, with the dog being the shapeshifter, it's you automatically think of the thing. So this is like the thing two, the thing in space. Um, I mean, that's what first came to mind for me. And then I wish I could come up with titles like that, because Red Letter Media was talking about this. Still, they've been doing Deep Space Nine reviews, and they talked about season 1. And I watched the second part today, where they were talking about I forget the name of the episode, where uh, Cisco's building a clock, and that's what they call the episode. Cisco builds a clock. So I thought it was funny that I was able to come up with the thing in space after watching that video. I guess they were inspirational for me. So let's see what everybody's saying. As I said, DJ Play Nice has arrived. Michelle Fairy Tales is here. It's a beautiful day today, and I saw a herd of elk in my backyard, so that's always nice to see. I've seen. One time I was out at Yellowstone camping, and there's a elk refuge out there, which is where Harrison Ford lives. And I think he passed by me once while I was out there. At least somebody said it was him. Uh, but hunters go out there to hunt seasonally, and there were some hunters there that gave me some elk meat that was really good. But then I was camping there, and one day I had to take a leak, and probably maybe 100 feet away from me was this big giant moose, and I knew like the moose is not gonna mess with me if I don't freak it out. So I was just like, I'm gonna finish my business and slowly walk away. And the moose did the same, and it was all okay. Cool, we're cool. Vincent, we cool? Just reach into the bag and pull out the one that says bad motherfucker. All right. And DJ Play Nice suggests to do wildlife videos. Yeah, especially if you're out in like Montana or wherever you're at. It's beautiful out there. I've thought about moving that direction many, many a times. But all of my family's here in the south, and that's a long haul. Gavin Blackburn is in the house. I think I saw Gavin over at Admiral Teague's maybe last night. I had to get out of there because they're talking Landman with DJ Play, with Istaphobos, and I hadn't caught up with. I finally got caught up today, What an excellent ending. Holy shit. Talk about excellent writing, character development, uh, the human condition. That last episode was amazing. Really good, especially the way it ended. Holy shit. So, if you don't want to watch Starfleet Academy, there's other shows on Paramount Plus that are actually good and worth watching. I think there's uh, 1823, all of the Taylor Sheridan stuff, uh, all of the Guy Ritchie. He has Mobland. Uh, there's stuff that could probably justify getting Paramount Plus, and I think, and I'm mark my words, I think at the end of the day, when all of this Netflix, Warner's, blah blah blah, HBO stuff is all said and done, I think Paramount Plus is gonna really come out on top, even though they're not really involved with all this. Just because they're cheap, you can get like a year subscription. That's what I do. I watched all these Star Trek episodes. Uh, you know, you have Mission Impossible. Um, there's the Twilight Zone. They have Twilight Zone on there, which I need to go back. I've been watching the X Files on Pluto TV, which is owned by Paramount, for free. So little prediction and a little bit of advice and a little bit of public service announcement. X Files is on Pluto TV for free all seasons. Oh, you live in that area where Yellowstone was filmed? That's awesome. I've been out there. So I've been to Battle of Little Bighorn. I spent a summer in Yellowstone and Jackson Hole. Uh, where I watched Phantom Menace there for the first time in in the city in Montana right before you go into Yellowstone from the northern part. Uh, Watched Phantom Menace, and then I watched Phantom Menace in Jackson Hole that summer 18 times. Um, at the time, I kind of liked it, but of course, hindsight is 2020. I still like the pod race and the lightsaber battles. I mean, you can't. There's not been a better lightsaber battle than Darth Maul and Obi Wan. Can't beat it. Cannot beat it. DJ play nice like Landman so far. Great, yeah, great season. Okay, well, let's see. I'm not going to be here tomorrow night because of work again. It's very frustrating. The my we had a it's long story short, I had two bosses that left within a month of each other. Then we had to deal with the holidays. I work in the restaurant industry. Then we came back. I got a new boss, upper boss, and then another boss who lasted a week and then quit. And I've been working my ass off. And we have a big event that I have to deal with tomorrow, so I can't do a review tomorrow. So, but I'll be back. Red Hour will be back on Wednesday, and hopefully next Wednesday, and hopefully next Thursday. So next Wednesday will be the next Red Hour. I hate that. It's not like I'm neurotic who talks about Forbidden Frontier and then every week cancels it because of still some stupid shit that had to do with Kathleen Kennedy or whatever. Who cares? I don't care. Yay, she's gone. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Um, so nothing changed. Aquiel is still there, and I have seen this episode before. Recognized the title, just didn't recognize the plot. So randomize again. You know that look. You know what that look is. It's Voyager, season 5, episode 2, drone. I believe that's a missile, that a torpedo or a missile or something that some civilization sent, and it's sentient and has to and it's like heading towards the civilization that's no longer at war with each other, and uh, the doctor's trying to talk it down. I think that's what that episode is, uh, but I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure, but not 100% sure, because it also could be a Borg, like a rogue Borg, something. Guess we'll find out. Guess we'll find out next Wednesday. So I want to thank Gavin Blackburn for showing up. Good to see you again. Um, Michelle Fairy Tales for showing up, and DJ Play Nice for showing up, and anyone that comes by in the future, or that is lurking. I want to thank you too as well, and you. Uh, I'll be back at 8 o'clock to do. I'm not gonna do reviews of Starfleet Academy. I already said that because, hey, an Admiral Teague is here. Yeah, I'm not gonna do reviews. I was going to. I just don't have the energy. I don't have the time right now. My schedule's like all over the place. Hello, Admiral Teague. Says great stream. Uh, I just can't do it. It just sucks. It sucks. The show sucks. So I don't have the energy. I had 3 or 4 pages of notes of what I was going to talk about. Everybody's already covered it. Like, it's stupid. It sucks. The second episode was a smidge bit better because of the girl who wasn't a bumbling idiot, didn't talk like a teenager, and wasn't autistic. The Betazoid girl, and she was attractive. Holy shit, attractive young lady that can actually act and is not acting like an idiot. It only took you how long? We're going on, fuck, what, 16, 17 years? Anyway, that was the only highlight of that episode, was that she wasn't a bumbling idiot. And Combadge girl was back. Anyway, I want to thank Admiral Teague for showing up, and I'm out of here. I got stuff to do, and I'll be back on Wednesday for